guys, thanks for checking out my channel. My name is Joanna if you've never been here before, and today I have a foundation review for you guys. The foundation on my face right now. How does it look? Well, I'm going to tell you my opinions throughout the rest of the video. So today I'm talking about the Mercier Candleglow Soft Luminous Foundation. I'm going to demo the makeup for you and then chat to you guys about all the details of it and get into all of the other fun stuff and my opinions on this foundation. So if you want to see all of that, then just keep watching. So before I do the demo, I like to always tell you guys a little bit about the foundation. So this foundation, again, is from Mercier. This foundation retails for $48, so it's definitely a luxury foundation. It's definitely a splurge for a lot of people, but if you guys know me, you know that I say that foundation is the one thing that you should always splurge on because the products in here are typically better than the products that you're going to get at the drugstore. They're going to feel a lot better on your skin, and overall you're just probably going to get a more high quality product if you do your research ahead of time. This foundation specifically has 1 ounce in it, and it's in like, I want to call it like not a glass bottle, but like almost like a ceramic bottle. Like I feel like you could make this in a pottery class, and it's matte, so it looks really nice. It's pretty. There's a nice little reflective cap and a nice pump, so that means that it's sanitary. Pumps are definitely nice to have in foundations in case if you guys only use pouring out bottles. Those I find are a little bit more wasteful, and I just don't like pouring out my foundation as much. This foundation comes in 24 different shades according to Sephora. I don't know if they have more shades than that, and Sephora just doesn't stock them all, but I think 24 is the right amount. I have this in the shade Buff, which according to the website is for light to medium skin with cool to neutral undertones. Now I will say my issue with this foundation so far is in the tube it looks like it could definitely match me. I had it tested on my skin at Sephora, but I've taken it home and I'm pretty sure it does not match me. So Sephora's skin matching technology is apparently not yet perfected because this does not always match my skin. According to Sephora's app, this is supposed to be a sheer to medium foundation that also has buildable coverage. It's supposed to create a soft candlelight glow on skin for day or nighttime use, and it's supposed to give your skin a burst of hydration and help foundation glide onto the skin for lasting smoothness and for a natural look. So one of the reasons why I gravitated towards this foundation over other ones that I was looking at was because it did have a claim to look somewhat natural and to give you really glowing skin. Now if you guys haven't used like the Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, that's what I kind of imagined this foundation to be like in a bottle, and I will get into that later whether or not I feel like that actually happens. But yeah, I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and put some of this on my face. So before I always apply this foundation, I apply my primers. So I'm using 2 primers at the moment, the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer in the Pore Minimizing, and the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer in the Smoothing Primer. So both of these are supposed to help smooth out your skin, reduce the sites or the size of pores, and any like the ugliness of skin. Whether or not they actually do that, who knows, but they're supposed to be 2 of the best ones out there. I like them, and I think that they help your makeup just kind of apply much better. So I'm keeping that in the center of my face, and then to apply my foundation, I'm going to be using the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush because this is the brush that I use in all my foundation videos, and the foundation, of course. One of the things that I've noticed about this foundation is that it's very thick. So I'm gonna try and show you guys on the brush, but like one little squirt, it like almost strings off of the pump. And I'll do another one so that you guys can see it's like really thick. It also showed 2 different colors, so that must mean that it oxidized in the tube, which is kind of gross. And then I'll do like half of one, just so that way it doesn't like, I don't overdo it, and I can show you guys what it's like with different amounts of coverage. I guess I will start with dotting this all over my face and my nose. Now I'm gonna just blend out one side of my face first, that way you guys can kind of compare, but I know that there are gonna be foundation splotches on the other side. And with this foundation brush, I'm just working in circular motions with fairly light pressure and just working it all in so it doesn't look patchy. Now this foundation doesn't have any noticeable fragrance, so that's nice if you're really sensitive to perfume. So that's one side of my face. It looks a little more evened out, but nothing crazy compared to the other side. Okay, so looking at my skin up close with my big Marc Jacobs mirror from their Mega Bronzer, or their Omega Bronzer, I am going to talk to you guys through what my skin looks like to me up close, so that way you guys can kind of see how I react. Now, I told you guys I had that big old pimple over here, definitely neutralized, but still red. You can still see some of the natural redness in my cheeks, around my nose. You see some discoloration. I had acne scarring like I told you guys about on my chin. Again, you can still see that a little bit. There's still discoloration on my lids. And like you can see kind of the fading stuff that I have going on my forehead. So this is definitely not a full coverage foundation. I also wouldn't necessarily call this a medium coverage foundation. Like they said on the bottle, this is a buildable foundation, but maybe I'll go ahead and do another pump of it just so that way you guys can see. But right now it is definitely sheer. So to test that out, let's take another pump of that, and we will apply it just to the areas where I have a lot of redness. So around my cheeks, around my nose, and my forehead. I'm not going to do my under eyes because frankly I don't think that's fair for any foundation, because I always need some sort of extra concealer there. And again, it's not full coverage, so it's really not supposed to cover up acne scarring. So I won't bother with that, but I will apply a little more. That's it, just because I am covering up the redness in my cheeks a little more. So, one, I'll say when you apply a little bit more on top, it doesn't necessarily blend in the same as when you're blending it in the first time. But I did get a little more coverage on my cheeks at least. It's not quite as red. So now that that second layer has been applied, let's talk about how my skin's looking now. I definitely would say that most things have been neutralized. Again, I could still use some extra coverage underneath my eyes. You can still see like fading acne scars, and like deeper acne scars are definitely showing through. My beauty mark is definitely showing through, but generally, this is how my foundation will look because this is kind of the coverage that I like. Now, it still requires concealer and things like that, but again, this foundation did not claim to be full coverage. So for what it says it does, I do really like it. Now, let's talk about the fact that when you put on a second layer, I think you'll get more of that foundation look. Like, it doesn't look as natural and as like skin-like as if you had just done a single kind of foundational layer. So like 2.5 pumps. Once you get into that like third, fourth pump, it starts to get a little more makeup-y. But not to the point where like it's bad. Like, I would definitely go out with this and not feel self-conscious about my makeup looking heavy, but it is something to note when you are comparing it to other foundations. Now, I'd say that overall I get a pretty matte feeling when I look at this foundation. Like, I wouldn't say it's matte to the fact where like I feel like I'm looking at a suede face, but is that what you guys think of when you see matte makeup? But I also wouldn't call it glowy. But interestingly, I like the way that there's almost like a built-in highlighter to this foundation, because like on my cheekbones, when natural light is hitting me, I see like that nice crescent forming on my cheekbones, and like I see it on my nose, and just like in the right parts of my face, I see this nice glowing quality, which is what it claims to have. So I am going to go ahead and apply the rest of my makeup now, and then I'll come back and talk to you guys a little more in depth about what I think. Okay, so now that the rest of my makeup's done, let's talk about how I really feel about this foundation. So I told you guys that this is typically the kind of coverage that I would go for, but honestly, I feel like something is missing here. I really want to love this foundation, and I'll talk about why I want to love it so much, but I just don't know that it makes my skin look all that great. And also, the fact that it doesn't match my skin, I can't tell if that's because it doesn't match or because this foundation oxidizes. So I still haven't fully made up my mind on that because I just don't know if I got a bad match to my skin. But the fact that when I poured out the foundation now and I saw that there was like a darker color and a lighter color coming out of the tube, that like kind of made me feel a little bit like this foundation oxidizes. And that's not something that I want for my foundation. I want it to look the same when I apply it and 10 minutes later and half an hour later and 3 hours later, color-wise at least, because I don't know, that's like too much trickery for me that my foundation's gonna switch colors during the day. Also, because this foundation has that kind of matte texture to it, I feel like it emphasizes pores and imperfections more, and when you have any kind of dryness on your skin, this foundation will not work because it will cling to that. It is a very thick foundation that if you don't blend it out or if you have patchiness, it will show. So it's just something that you have to be careful with. And personally, I like more watery foundations because they do blend out a heck of a ton easier and probably better than this foundation. Now, the most redeeming quality to this foundation for me is the glow factor that it has to it. That, what do they call it? The Candleglow Soft Luminous quality to it is actually really amazing. It's not like other foundations that I've used. Like, I don't see straight sparkles in this. It's not glowy because it's like a wet foundation. It just has a really, really nice glow to it in just the right parts of your face. And I'm not like sugarcoating this foundation because of that. Like, does that make sense? Like, I'm not trying to find something good in this foundation. I really like how this foundation highlights the right parts of your face. And I think that that's just something that I haven't found in a foundation yet. So overall, I don't know how to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10. As in like 10 being the best. Like, honestly, I feel like I have to rate it a couple different ways before I give it an overall rating. Like, coverage wise, I'd probably rate this like an 8 for being a sheer to medium coverage, like, or an 8 to, like, I'd really say that that is exactly what it is, so maybe like an 8.5. I just don't love the way that it works to build up to it. As far as the texture of it goes, I'd rate it like a 6.5, 7, because again, I don't like that it gets to like a more like foundation-y looking texture on your face, but I don't dislike the fact that it's matte as long as your skin is properly hydrated beforehand. But then the glowing factor to it like is like a full 10 to me. So because of that, like, I want to say that the foundation overall would be like a 6 in my book, like not worth getting, but because of the glow factor, it goes up to like an 8 or a 9, maybe like an 8.5. And the only reason why I'm hesitant about that is because, like, I feel like this kind of foundation only works if you have really clear skin. It's really kind of a toss-up. I'm not gonna return him or stop using him because I do like the glow factor, but like, I don't think that this would be the foundation that I'd say is like the end-all be-all of my foundation existence. As far as wearability goes, I have worn this foundation for very long periods of time. I won't say that it held up amazingly, but again, because of the kind of coverage factor, I wouldn't say that it held up bad by any standards. It just like, I mean, if it doesn't start off having good coverage, it's not going to end up having good coverage. So it's not really a question of whether or not like it stays put. It's just I don't know. I guess it kind of is. I don't know. I guess I wasn't thrilled with its stayability. So stayability's okay. Not amazing, not awful, just okay. I will say that my makeup does go on really easily on top of it. I didn't notice any patching or any like grabbing to one area. Everything else works really well with this foundation. I think that's all that I have to say for this video. I hope you guys liked it. I'm sorry that my opinion on him is a little bit confused, but sometimes that happens in the makeup reviewing world. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe down below or click the button right here if you want to see more of my videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye! And if you guys want to check out the last video that I posted, you can go ahead and click the video right here.